The Quadrivium is the second part of the 7 classical liberal arts, whereas the 3 arts of grammar, logic, and rhetoric make up the trivium. The final 4 arts, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, make up the quadrivium. And these together make up the classical liberal arts curriculum. The arts of the quadrivium are the ancient mathematical arts, ordered to the study of quantity, which is the second of the 10 categories of ideas identified by Aristotle. These arts were studied throughout history to prepare students for the study of philosophy and theology. In modern schools, mathematics is studied for practical purposes. Students are taught only what is needed for business, science classes, or college admission. The purpose is mere utility. The classical study of the quadrivium, however, is something very different. It is not ordered to utility, but to the preparation of the intellect for the contemplation of truth. The quadrivium does not train students for work, but enables the mind to move from the knowledge of physical things to the understanding of immaterial and eternal realities. The modern classical education movement does not teach the quadrivium. The 4 mathematical arts are either omitted entirely or simply replaced with modern math courses. This omission reveals that such programs are not grounded in the true classical liberal arts tradition and are not ordered to the study of philosophy and theology. Classical philosophy and scholastic theology assume that a student has already studied the 7 liberal arts. A student who has not studied the true quadrivium is not prepared to advance to higher studies. Aristotle explained that there are 3 different kinds of things studied by wise men. Material or physical things are studied by means of the senses. Immaterial or metaphysical things are studied by means of reason alone. Mathematical things exist as a middle between these physical and metaphysical things and are studied with both the senses and reason. This is why the study of mathematics in ancient philosophy was seen as a bridge from the physical to the spiritual or immaterial. The 4 arts of the quadrivium each study a different kind of mathematical thing. Quantity divides into 2 species, multitude and magnitude. Multitude refers to a quantity that can be divided into a number of separate units, like a flock of sheep or a pile of pennies on a table. Magnitude refers to a single quantity or single object that can be divided not into a number of units, but into a number of parts, as a sheet of paper can be torn or cut into a number of parts. The first art of the quadrivium is arithmetic, and arithmetic is the study of absolute multitude or multitude by itself. It is studied in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy using the Introduction to Arithmetic by Nicomachus of Gerasa, This was an ancient text used by the early church and preserved in schools through the Middle Ages. This text teaches the science of number as it was understood in the Pythagorean tradition. The second art of the Quadrivium music is the study of relative multitude. So it's like arithmetic in that it's a study of multitude, but it differs in that arithmetic studies absolute multitude and music studies relative multitude. It studies number as proportion and relation, particularly in sound. If we think of the notes used in written music, we think of quarter notes, half notes, whole notes, and so on. We see that there's a study of quantity in relation in the art of music. Music is studied in the academy through the medieval work On Music by Boethius, a Christian philosopher whose works were studied throughout medieval church history. The third art of the Quadrivium, geometry, is the study of magnitude and magnitude at rest. It investigates the properties and relations of points, lines, surfaces, and solids. It is studied in the academy through the Elements of Euclid, which was the standard text used throughout both classical and medieval education. And the fourth art of the Quadrivium is astronomy, which is the study of magnitude in motion. So again, like geometry, astronomy is a study of magnitude, but unlike geometry, it's a study of magnitude in motion, whereas geometry is a study of magnitude at rest. Astronomy is concerned with the movements of heavenly bodies, which is where it gets its name from, and it's studied in the academy through the Almagest, which was a work on astronomy by the ancient astronomer Ptolemy. And we also study Aristotle's work on the heavens. These texts present the science of the cosmos, as it were, as it was understood and studied in the ancient and medieval world. The Quadrivium prepares the student to move from the perception of material things, which are seen as a distraction to true philosophy and contemplation, to the understanding of immaterial realities. The mind first perceives physical things through the senses and then begins to understand quantity through mathematics and is prepared by that study to rise to the contemplation of being itself in philosophy and of divine truth in theology. A student who does not study the Quadrivium lacks the intellectual training needed to make this important ascent. Without it, the mind remains unprepared for metaphysical or theological study. The Classical Liberal Arts Academy teaches the full Quadrivium through its original sources and methods. These arts are not replaced, adapted, or reduced. They are studied as they were studied by the philosophers, saints, and teachers of real classical Catholic education throughout history.